Samuel Slater was born in 1768 and died in 1835. He was born in England and lived with his parents. He received a regular education and was interested in math. He was married to a woman named Hannah Wilkinson and later remarried to someone named Esther, and they had a total of 9 children. Growing up in England, he became very familiar with the way that the early textiles worked. He gained knowledge about these textiles and how to run a successful business. On this slide, you can see an image of a map showing where Slater was born. Samuel Slater built the first water-run, large-scale textile mill in America. This changed the type of work the people did. So instead of working in the fields, they operated simple machines and helped keep the mill clean. His mill was a huge improvement that allowed for large amounts of yarn to be made, which made it possible to keep up with the growing supply and demand. He also inspired future inventors that used the idea of his mill and later improved it. In this time, there was also an increase of other things like transportation and communication. Slater's invention worked with these improvements that helped America industrialize and improve the economy. Here are some images of people working in Slater's mill. After gaining the knowledge he needed, Samuel Slater made his textile mill in 1790, which was located in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. Here is an image of the mill. Notice it was built along water, which was its main energy source. In these times, demand for items made of cotton was growing, and the traditional way that people harvested cotton and then made it into yarn at home took too long and was hard work. The mill was a much faster way to make yarn without people having to do all this at home. Instead, unskilled workers, typically women and children, worked at Slater's mill. He also offered them a low pay rate. These images are a comparison of how cotton yarn used to be made at home and how it was now made at Slater's mill. Samuel Slater became so familiar with working in the England textile mills, and he wanted to make a mill of his own. The ideas of these textiles weren't being spread around the world, and they stayed only in England. After moving, Slater used his knowledge about them and built the first textile mill in America. This is an image of how people would traditionally make yarn at home before Slater's mill. Now, here is a video that tells more about Slater's invention.
Textile manufacturing was the first major industry to undergo industrialization, and for many people, the change was tragic. That was because before the Industrial Revolution, the poor rural population had few ways of earning a living, except for the unreliable income they got from farming. But in Europe especially, many rural people could add to their incomes by working at what were known as domestic or cottage industries, by making cloth. The way this worked was that cloth merchants purchased large quantities of wool from sheep farmers, as well as linen fibers from flax farmers. The merchants then delivered the material to cottage workers to be made into cloth. First, the fibers were spun into yarn using a simple foot-powered machine called a spinning wheel. Then, under what was known as the putting-out system, the yarn was then distributed to weavers to be woven into certain types of cloth on a hand loom. It took a long time, but after the roll of cloth was finished, the merchants paid the cottage workers for what they had done. These traditional home-based textile workers were the first people to be replaced by machines when the Industrial Revolution began. The Industrial Revolution came to America mainly through 2 instances of what today would be called industrial espionage, or industrial spying. The spying occurred because the designs of English textile machines were carefully guarded secrets. They had brought England so much wealth that laws prohibited shipping the machines out of the country for fear that people might copy them. The first case of industrial spying took place sometime in the 1780s, when a man who had been employed at an English spinning factory named Samuel Slater memorized every detail of how the machines were built. He moved to the United States the year George Washington was elected president and had copies made of the English machines. Then he opened up a cotton spinning mill in Pawtucket, Rhode Island, and put them to work. And by the beginning of the 19th century, 100 workers, mostly women and children aged 7 to 14, could be found laboring here at Slater's mill.